It says the Hangout air is live, but I don't fucking believe that. Let me go to my phone and make sure, because I'm not pulling last week. I'm not gonna do that again. Because I poured my heart and soul into that murder house fucking questions, and then it only picked up my voice, and I sounded like I was talking to a wall. I was a Briarcliff patient. Okay, let me see. Well, before we begin, what do you think about them doing another Coven season?
I don't know. I'm not too against it. I think it'd be cool.
If they do it right, is my only concern. Like
Exactly. Yeah, they've got to do it
Apocalypse,
right.
it just didn't. They just didn't do it right. Like, uh, I hope like we can get the writers that were in Coven. I guess is that shady? I guess so. Like, it is what it is. All right. So the people who are watching, Mary, you know about this. Which, by the way, shout out to Mary's channel, Mary Girl Moody, the Freaks of AHS Facebook page. What's her Patreon name? Like, is it Mary Girl Moody?
I think so.
Mary Girl Moody, Mother Supreme. Shout out, yes. We did last week a murder house, unanswered questions, and it was really me ranting, and I had fun though. But it turns out it was just my audio, and Melinda and everybody else was mute. So, you know what? It is what it is. But hopefully it, let me see. All right. Starting with number 1. So, do we know how long Dr. Arden was working when it was a tuberculosis ward? Yes, Michael's here.
What's up?
Just in time for question 1.
Hi,
Okay.
Michael.
Hi.
Yes. Let me go to my phone and make sure it picks up your guys' voice.
Hey.
Not doing this again. Melinda, can you say like testing or something?
Testing.
1, 2, 3.
5.
Anything but that.
Melinda, can you say like testing or something? Yay, it got her voice. Yay, it's working. Okay. All right.
We got everybody?
Yay. Well, we're missing Kitty. Kitty's not gonna be here tonight. But Kitty is gonna get her time to shine when we do Coven. We're gonna go back and do let her say what she wanted to about Asylum, because I know she really wanted to do Asylum. So
Yeah.
All right. Do we know how long or when Arden, I guess, started? Well, I guess no, because he was in Germany and all that shit. So the Asylum, when it was a tuberculosis place, was built in 1908. Keep that in mind. It became a tuberculosis ward. When and how the fuck did they hire quote unquote Arden?
It was a thing in the United States right after World War II that a lot of the imprisoned Nazi scientists and doctors and stuff were set due to the conditions of the surrender of the war to either go to Russia or go to the United States to work off their crimes or whatever, and he was part of that program.
What's their dog's name?
Nuka. My boy.
Hi, Nuka.
I forget what the program was called back then, but that's how he came over. Russia was
Also, like,
the United States took them all.
Speaking of Arden, like, don't you have to have like I know that he was a part of some program where they take the officers and they give them their fake IDs and stuff, but like,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
but
Yeah.
like, there's no documents or like pictures of him or like none of that. Like,
it was shady.
that's so shady. Like they hired him like that.
Well,
Anyway,
what's really sad that what they did is a couple years before they were having Japanese internment camps. We imprison our own Japanese, and then we bring the Nazi doctors and shit over here to work right after dark time.
okay, when the
But yeah,
couple
that's true.
was
That
walking
really happened.
through Briarcliff, which by the way, like, remember when Asylum was first on TV? Like they were acting like Adam Levine was like the main character. Like they were promoting the
voice.
shit out of him.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Star
anyways,
power, baby. Star power.
right.
The voice
I
was
mean,
huge that year.
okay, when the couple was walking through Briarcliff, they never mentioned Lana Winters, Thredson. They said the famous killer Bloody Face. But I guess it was just because, they did, obviously, like, if we figured out it was Thredson, though, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Because wait, when when Johnny goes to see Lana, that's after Adam Levine's death, right?
And what kind of couple goes to, like, an abandoned place and, like,
Oh, that'd be
who
fun.
does that?
I'd go.
I'm sure there's plenty of couples who've done shit like that. I'm sure there's lots of them.
Oy vey.
They probably have tours specifically for people like that.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right. What exactly was the reason the aliens took Alma? Not
Who's
Alma.
the babies?
The
That's all I
baby,
can
because
hear.
she had sex with Kit. Remember? Because they asked, did you have sex with your
No,
wife?
like 5 minutes after, like, they boned. Like, bzz, they're gone.
But
Yeah.
the thing I
Well,
get
that
is
same thing
it
happened with
wasn't the
what's her
first
face.
time they had slept together, so she must have gotten pregnant, and they knew that.
Yeah, because the aliens came for Alma right after they had sex that night, and then
Right.
with what's her face, Grace, the aliens came for her right after they had sex in the
But
ward.
we got to keep this in mind, though, because when we flash forward to when they took Grace, she came back fully pregnant, and she said, he said, how were you this pregnant? And she said, time works differently there.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like faster there, wouldn't Alma have already had her child?
But Alma didn't come back. Grace did. And I just watched this one last night. I think the only reason Grace came back is because that's when Arden killed Kit with the needle through the heart to stop his heart. And he was trying to get the aliens to come back.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
because
how did Alma escape? Like, how did she escape?
Alma just appears. Remember when they go home?
She's on the bed.
Alma's just on the bed with the baby.
Did they just like throw her from the sky into the house? Like, how did that
They
work?
beamed her down, Star Trek style.
Right. They beamed her down.
I don't know. The whole aliens, I wouldn't mind seeing aliens well, I don't know. Be careful what you wish for, right? I wouldn't mind seeing aliens if they're going to explain some more stuff. Because I felt the aliens in this was so rushed in and absolutely nothing was really explained with it. And it really threw the season off a little bit with the aliens. But it wasn't necessary. I was hoping by the end of the season that Kit would have been schizophrenic or something, to go along with the whole mental illness thing, and he was just seeing all this stuff. But no, it's really aliens.
Yeah, I was hoping there would be some kind of twist like that too. Maybe it'll just be all in his head, and this is just really he's in the insane asylum, and each person that he's seeing or something represents like a patient or something.
Exactly, that would be really funny.
I don't know what I mean by why did they let Pepper out? Why did they let Pepper out?
Let her out for what?
What was that in the? Yeah, that was in the beginning. Like she was out, like on the like outside the asylum, twirling around and stuff. Like
there's patients.
One of the flowers.
Like that was the only time we saw like a patient outside of like that was just weird.
Well, and places like that, they let patients, have outside time and things like that. But if they really did think that Pepper had done what she had done, which they seem to think she did, even at the time, Mary Eunice, before she was possessed at that time, was convinced that that's what Pepper did. Why would they let her out there where she could then interact with normal citizens.
Literally.
And it depends, because remember, Pepper's unique. She has a very, very unique relationships with people. And
Right.
when she first met Mary Eunice in Freak Show, we already saw that they developed an instant bond, and instant, and Mary Eunice said, "I'll make you my project." And then so we can just assume that she did make her the project, and they were, have gotten really close. And so she's able to take her out on the ground because Pepper's not going to run off. It's a risk assessment. They're not in prison. They're court appointed by a judge to be in locked placement for their safety and the safety of others, but they're not in prison for a crime. So it's not like you force them
I
to.
mean, they acted like when Shelly wanted to get out and get some fresh air, they acted like it was going to cost her an arm and a leg, and it costed her 2 legs.
Two legs.
Correct. Because
Literally.
she has a different
Well,
psyche.
no. What cost the 2 legs was.
Okay, they're going to let Pepper out, who they believe murdered a baby, but they're not going to let Shelly out, who bones every guy she sees. Like, which one are you wanting to bid on? You know what I mean?
But do they let Pepper? They didn't just open the door and let her roam free. I'm sure Mary Eunice was that.
I mean, yeah, they let her out to get some fresh air, but like they wouldn't let Shelly. I was like, that's a little
because
weird.
Shelly
but...
will run. Shelly can make the decisions to run or to do something. They know Pepper's not going to do that. Because when I worked in psych, it was the same thing. It's all like risk assessment. You figure out what would be the conscious threat of thought for each person in each type of situation, and then you make a risk assessment based off of that. And Pepper's risk assessment would be really, really low. She wouldn't take off or anything.
Okay, this question, I guess it could be, oh, well, it was the 60s and whatever. But why did they let the patients like get a hold of like matches and shit to smoke? Like
they do, and it's like the smoking and schizophrenia are hand in hand. I would say 95-96% of all schizophrenic mentally affected patients smoke, and in a lot of wards, they're allowed to have lighters and matches. It's weird, but some wards are allowed to have shoelaces. Some wards they're not. So it just depends on who owns.
like they're in the common room, they're just smoking. Like they have like their own like lighter and stuff. I'm like,
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yo, they could like burn like this. Like they could like escape with just one lighter. Like okay, like I don't understand that, but I mean,
welcome to the.
We'll let Santa out for a little while.
Literally.
Yeah, I
boy.
For the 60s, with the rules and regulations and how it was monitored was very realistic to lock placement site. I mean, it's a little more run down than most places, and the whole trio of offices, Arden, Jessica Lange's, and Timothy's, that was really, really odd. There would be no split decision of management like that, but as far as the daily care of the patients, it's really accurate, actually.
Okay, when Sister Jude is making the dinner for the Monsignor, and she has that whole sequence of the red and all that, what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Did that not look like a scene straight up out of Coven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
that
looked like some
really
sort of like love potion ritual, some sort of something. Like that looked like a scene straight out of Coven.
Yeah.
Like what was up with that?
It's just playing. She was playing that type of sultry moment, and it tapped into a very Fiona type character. Same actor.
Probably an Easter egg for what was to come for season 3.
Yeah, or how the fact that Mary Eunice tossed Arden half across the room, just like Fiona did with Madison and Zoe.
The devil.
All right.
Michelle, witches go to hell.
Why is pre-possessed Mary Eunice not reporting Arthur's experiments? Bitch? Question mark. Like why?
I don't. This is where I'm lost with this season. I freaking hate the Arden stuff. I despise Arden. It makes no sense. There's no reason for it. It's like all of a sudden we have this crazy German doctor who's like making freaking Frankenstein in the basement, which would never happen. And then for what? What were those things made for? They serve zero purpose in the show.
Yeah, other than for something for him to go have his tantrum and kill him off later, but even that, it was like, oh well.
Yeah, you separate those beings, I forget what they're called, from Arden, they have no association with anybody else in the cast and anybody else's storyline.
Right.
But like, no, it's not even that though. It's like why it was pre-possessed, like Mary Eunice. Like, why would she not go and tell Sister Jude like this is what he's doing? Like, why did she not?
If she was
do
such
that?
a pure soul and everything before and everything, why didn't she, like you said, why didn't she have a problem with that?
Yeah, that I just didn't understand that. Like,
I knew they were people because they were out there feeding them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she was feeding them. Like, she had no problem with them then. Like,
maybe
I don't know. Like, that goes along with the theory that like she was never really like that possessed. Okay.
Well,
what
she could
was?
have told Timothy, and Timothy could have just been covering for him because he knew they were out there too.
I didn't catch what you said.
No, Timothy. What's his face? Fines.
The Monsignor.
Monsignor. Yeah, he knew they were out there. She could have told him, and he was just covering for him.
Literally, she didn't say. She didn't not a peep. Didn't tell anybody. That was a little. I'm a shady. What was planted in Kit? Like, you know, that little. It looked like a little spider thing. Like, what was that planted in him? Like, was it to like? Obviously, they knew where he was. Like, what was that for? Like,
yo, hold on, I gotta catch the door. I'll be right back. But these dogs are crazy. We're in the podcast.
Oh, the puppies. Yeah, what the fuck was that thing planted in Kit's? What was it? His neck or the back of his? Like, what was that? All right. Why did the prostitute not take anything from the Nazi collection to go along with her running to the police and saying, yes, I found all sorts of crazy, weird shit in there. And like, she didn't take one piece of evidence. And that was why Sister Jude had to do all what she did with, what's his face to prove that he was. Like, she didn't grab anything. I guess it was the spur of the moment, run the fuck out of there. But that was a headache. Why exactly did the demon go into Mary Eunice? Why? Why her?
Maybe because she was the purest out of the group. From what we've seen from all the others, she seems like, I mean, not that she was innocent, but she seemed the purest out of the group.
True. But I mean, if she's the purest one, wouldn't that be the most hard one to get into? You know what I mean?
That'd be the one they'd want. That's why they always want virgins and pure souls and, you know, things like that.
Literally, like, I only have like so many more questions. Okay. Why could the Mexicans see Mary Eunice like was the devil? Like, why her?
I think she was just a very spiritual woman. I think that's what that was. She seemed very ingrained in her faith.
Who?
The question was, why was the Mexican the only one who could see that Mary Eunice was possessed?
Why was Anne Frank there?
Literally. Like, I don't understand that whole Anne Frank thing. Like, was that
wasn't
like that was just so unnecessary. Like, what?
How's it? I got both of my cameras on.
Yes, we got the puppy monitor. We got the Michael and then the puppy monitor. Yes.
Making sure he's behaving.
Is Nuka still there? I don't see him.
I don't think so.
Well, all right. That was weird, the whole Mexican thing. Like, she just saw her, didn't tell anybody. Anyways. All right. How did this Anne Frank bitch know all what she knows? Her, the reasoning was, she saw some newspaper clippings and wha-bam.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, she saw newspaper clippings. She got obsessed with it. She learned everything she could. She was Anne Frank. Why? Because we had a German doctor in there?
It can't be just because of some newspaper clippings. Like, what?
It's so random.
I think she probably got obsessed over the newspaper clippings and then probably did more research into it, is what it looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe she just like concocted like other little stories. Like she got
Sure.
some right, but then she just exaggerated. Like I didn't understand that. It was so unnecessary. Like
Well,
what?
because it's like Wyatt and Frank, and it could have been anything, but they use the whole Anne Frank to tie it to the Holocaust and Arden.
Yeah. I just thought
Why the
I just
fuck
thought
did
when
aliens get Grace? Was it because the baby?
the baby. Yeah.
The
The
baby.
But then
baby was
again, in the
obviously.
future, we were told, it was a rumor
Yeah.
that the
Well.
children were going to go head to head with Michael. None of that happened.
All the rumors. You can't believe those rumors for preseason. They're never right.
So, like, what the fuck? Those
They're
kids.
never right.
What is up with those goddamn kids? Where
Well,
the fuck are they? Like,
we need
are
to
they
have.
ever going to be in a future season?
I don't know. If there's going to be something, I mean, there's more than 10 seasons now. We know that. We heard that confirmed. So if there's going to be something, it'll have to be in the future with those kids growing up or whatever to see what the hell's going on with them. But I don't know. I have a feeling that maybe all we get of them. But, oh, right here.
All right.
Thanks.
Arden never asked Mary Eunice what she was. Yeah, okay, like he never like straight up said like, how are you doing these things that you're doing? Like that bitch talks him across the room, like she's saying a bunch of shady shit, threatening him and stuff, and he's still like fondling with her, and he's not asking her like exactly what the fuck is going on with her, like none of it. Like
Before he even realized, that she was full on possessed, and he didn't even think like, wow, this is weird. What's going on?
none of it. Like he was just like, okay, like he was just like, okay, you got all of a sudden all these powers and shit. Well, all right, like nothing. Like okay, that was weird. I was like, nothing. That there should have been at least a conversation. Like what the fuck are you? Like how are you doing this? Nothing. Why is Pepper chosen to protect Grace? Why Pepper? What did the aliens want with Pepper?
Pepper is interesting because Pepper is, I think, an evolving character. I think that they hired her to play this off the wall character that is supposed to be unsettling in Asylum, the way she looked, and then all of a sudden she has magic powers, and then they figured out later in the show. So it was she's evolving. It wasn't thought out from the start.
Now you're echoing on your
I gotta go there. Hold on.
Yeah, you sound a little robot-y. I didn't really catch what he said.
I'm right by the other one.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
I think there was, again, with that innocence, and I think that was kind of a theme of this season because of the spirituality thing. It's innocence and purity. And I think that was partly Pepper, too, was as we know, even with her backstory and Freak Show and everything, just that innocence
Well,
of...
like I said, like I said, I don't think the backstory was ever thought out. You know, when they decided to do Freak Show, they're like, oh, we'll use that character. But I think for Asylum, the first initial intention was just for her to be this patient who was visually unsettling, kind of a mystery, kind of, strange. And then they'll give her these magic powers at the end, and it never really explain it. That, this strange girl with, the strange look and everything was the one that was, pure of heart or whatever. And then
because she knew that Thredson was bloody faced. She said, I know I'm on to you. I know who you are. You don't fool me.
Yeah.
She said that to Thredson. So like they gave her like whatever they gave her. Like she knew exactly what he was.
They gave her insight or intuition or something.
Yes. So some sort of mental connection with people.
So does that mean? I guess people out here are saying, "Whoa, wait a second! Are you guys implying that the aliens are the ones who created witches? Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe
that I think would be really cool, or to kind of bring everything together, because we already know not season 9, but at least maybe season 10, the witches are going to be back. Why? But if the witches are back, maybe the aliens will have something to do with it this time.
That's another goddamn thing. If there's only going to be 10 seasons and they're not
No, there's
coming
more.
season 9, like
No,
why
They announced-
not
they
just
announced this week they're doing more.
They've already announced they're doing more than 10.
good?
But they're only doing up to
It
10
hasn't
on
been greenlit
Netflix.
for it.
They're only doing 10 on FX.
On FX, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to get moved over with Murphy to Netflix, probably with his, $330 million deal.
Yeah. They said many more seasons.
Yeah.
Possibly a
I
spinoff?
mean,
Question mark?
we may never get answers to a lot of these.
That's
So when
type
the
of
show
COVID it
goes
is.
from FX to Netflix, does that mean we start on a clean slate? And like,
No.
okay,
It's possible that he buys out the show from Netflix and he brings the whole catalog over to Netflix, because it was on Netflix
Oh
before,
my
wasn't it?
God. Do you know how much they're going to charge him for that just because they know they can?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's always said that's his baby. Like, so if he goes, he's taking it with him.
They have something with Netflix because it was on Netflix before. Wasn't all the seasons on there except for Apocalypse? It was not at one point.
Wait, what?
They were all on Netflix at one point, weren't they?
Yeah, they still are.
Oh, they are still? Yeah. So
Yeah,
they got something.
I just finished watching Asylum on Netflix.
yeah,
Okay.
Apocalypse isn't on Netflix though. Is Apocalypse on Hulu?
No, Apocalypse won't be out now.
Netflix is always like a year late putting it on.
When after it comes out on home release, and these shows don't come out on home release until almost a year later. The American Horror Story really
the new
late.
season starts.
Yeah. And they
it's
stopped
on
making Blu-rays.
FX Plus. Don't
you guys
get
know
me
that?
started on that.
They don't use Blu-rays anymore for FX shows.
Mm-hmm.
We only got Cult on DVD.
Really?
Yeah. They went backwards. They stopped making Blu-rays of their shows.
See, I was gonna start buying all the seasons, and then I said, you know what? I'm just gonna wait until it's done and get like.
Wait, what the fuck? I only have a Blu-ray player. Like what?
Yeah. It's only in America. I had to import
I
my
only
Cult
have a Blu-ray player.
I imported my Cult Blu-ray from England.
Well, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's stupid.
Wow.
But that's all FX shows. It's Sunny in Philadelphia. None of them are available on Blu-ray anymore.
What the chuck?
Yep.
Holy vey. All right. Grace says the babies are special. He's gonna change people. Well, she said this about her child. What was his name? The boy.
Thomas.
Thomas. He's gonna change people. He's gonna change the way they think.
So now, back it up a little bit. Now, when she first has the baby in the asylum, okay, when she shows back up after, Arden stops Kit's heart and everything, and he tries to hide her, but Thredson finds her giving birth, and then he brings her out, and they go into the common room, and everybody sees the baby, okay? Right before they take the baby away, everybody sees the baby. How did no one be like, girl, where'd you get a baby from in a few days?
No shit, right?
Literally.
Nobody asked the question. Everybody was like, oh yeah, it's Grace's baby. It has to be. Arden was the only one hip to the alien thing.
Yeah, first off, even though it was the 60s, they wouldn't let her have that baby.
Well, that's why they can't. That I'll let go only because they did come and take the baby right after that. So I can let that go. Like they gave them a little bit of time while they were calling the other place to come and get it. But still, like, what the hell with that, right? And
like
then
2 days later,
right?
Like,
and then when she's holding the baby, when they kick everybody out of the common room, and Thredson gives Kit and Grace some time alone with the baby to bond right before they come to take the baby.
All of a sudden her stomach explodes. Like,
well, right. First of all, now her stomach's flat, but that's TV magic. But Kit he says something like, is it weird or is it strange that he looks just like me? Or something like that. Or is it crazy to say he looks just like me? And she goes, no, he looks exactly like you. Now that stood out to me because every parent thinks their child looks like them or looks like the other parent and everything.
Mhm.
So that would be normal, but the way they worded it and the way they said it
It's almost like
stood out.
it's
So
DNA
I'm thinking
created.
like the alien thing, like what if that's what we're gonna get like for an Easter egg type of thing for what's coming later? What if there's like a clone thing that they do?
Evan
It's not
Peters
just
playing
his
Thomas.
DNA, it's a
Yes.
clone thing.
Yeah, what if it's is maybe the aliens created Thomas or created the babies?
Well, see, and that's what I don't understand because they came for both the women after they had sex with Kit, and they had to have then known they were pregnant because otherwise they would have come for Alma. You know, him and his wife had sex before that, and they never came.
Maybe they needed the actual being of the baby, the actual embryo of the baby
That's
to
what
then
I'm
insert
saying.
their
Maybe
information.
that's what it is. But then when Grace goes in and Alma tells her, you know, just stay still, otherwise it'll be a lot worse. They literally cut her open. Like, why did they cut her open? What were they doing then?
Maybe reprogramming the baby.
I guess.
See, but it's
Well,
all this is
yeah, and
evolving
Alma
around
was
Kit.
like pregnant too. Like she was well pregnant when she walked up to Grace. She was pregnant at the time.
Because at some point she says something or someone they say something about they put it inside me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
So
said
if
that.
they put the baby inside her, what the hell did Kit do?
Why is Kit
Exactly.
important?
Why is Kit
Why is
special?
why is Kit important?
I
That's
mean,
what I've never.
he's
They've never
gorgeous.
really
He's a
specified.
gorgeous character, and I'm gonna speak for everybody who thinks so because I'm the only woman on here right now. Even though you guys are entitled to your opinions, but I'm saying it. That's my favorite Evan Peters character. Everybody's always Tate, Tate, Tate. Oh my God, Tate. I don't want a mass murderer. I
No,
want
I
Kit
love
Right?
I love Kit. I
If I
love
have to
Kit.
pick a character, I want Kit Walker. And he
I,
made two beautiful babies. Come on.
I love Kit. Don't get me wrong. Kit is his best character. But why was he important to the aliens? That's what I
Yeah.
can't figure out. They never gave a reason. A
And
specific.
why do they? I want to know why he's important because that explains why they take him at the end.
Yeah.
But why do they take him? Did they take him
Yeah.
to keep him alive? Did they take him to regenerate him? Did they take him to heal him? Did they take him just so that he wouldn't die? Did they take him to make more copies of him? What did they do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and they ended up taking him again when he had pancreatic cancer. He
That's
was,
what I'm saying. When they took him at the end, when he had cancer,
what did they do with him then? Like,
what did they do then? Like, did they fix
and
him?
okay, if time works differently there, guaranteed, if we see him again, he's gonna look just like he did when they picked him up, whenever, like in the 80s or whenever that was. Guaranteed.
That had to be like it was late 60s, early 70s, because wasn't it like 68?
No,
When
when he had
Lon-
yeah, because the kids were how old when he had cancer?
Yeah,
No, they were
I think it
grown.
was like the 80s, early
Yeah, they were
80s.
grown. So it had been the 80s,
So okay.
late 70s at least.
And then I think the kids knew that the aliens took him because they were like, yeah, the kids said don't mourn him, you know.
Yeah, the kids were in tune.
The kids knew when they couldn't find their father's body, and they already knew something was programmed in them to tell them what their father was or why he was special or whatever. Like they had to have known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they knew. They're half alien or something. Those kids.
Right.
But the whole point that frustrates me about the whole alien thing is, yeah, it was cool, and yeah, it really led into a lot of, like this discussion and thinking, and why are they doing this, and why Grace, and why Kit, all that, but they never said why. We had no answers to why whatsoever. To even give us something to think about why. There was no reason. Kit wasn't.
There wasn't a hint of anything. Something to like
nothing.
leave you lingering and hanging on. There was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to see them again? If the next season is going to be like full on alien theme?
But you got to think though.
This is something we will get answers to because there was no answer whatsoever. Not even a hint.
Nothing. But you got to
we got a half-ass fucking answer with the fourth child from Constance.
I know, but you got to figure when he did Asylum, he wrote that specifically with no idea of a sequel in mind. This is only the second season, so he wrote it intentionally to not have any answers.
Oh, yeah, what did the kids do with Jude in the woods? Like, She came back a different woman. Like, what the fuck did they do?
Maybe they brought the aliens down.
Huh?
We're talking. We're talking about American Horror Story.
I don't know.
We're talking about American Horror Story.
I don't know.
Tell them who your favorite character is.
My favorite is Bet and Todd.
Bet.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever seen American Horror Story?
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
Are you allowed to?
No.
No. Why not?
Because it's frightening.
It's frightening you.
It scares me.
It scares you. It's good enough reason not to watch it. If you're little, anyway.
When I grow up, I can watch it.
Yeah, when you grow up, you can watch it.
I can't.
Hopefully, they'll still be doing seasons by the time.
Well, you won't be watching it on Blu-ray.
No, you won't. Yeah, see, Lucy.
Why did they do that? Like, I
Wait.
just figured that out. Like, not like I
That
ever
was-
bought him.
It's
Is this the DVD? America? This is all we got? This
that.
one I had Blu-ray. I had to import from England.
Oh wow.
Yep. No Blu-ray in America.
And that's me. All right. I love you.
Can you see crackers?
Take them. Don't mess up with Fiona.
Don't mess with my Fiona. Yes.
That's what she tells me every time she leaves the room. She tells me to say it to her because you have to go through the scarf to get out of the room.
Oh.
Don't mess up my Fiona. All right. Yeah. What did the kids do to Jude in the woods? Like,
Oh my God. I have no idea. And I really, really want to know, like, because
I think
whatever they did, why couldn't they do it in the house? Why did they have to go out to the woods to do it? So did they call the aliens or
That's
did
what I
they
think.
do it themselves?
I think they called
well,
the alien.
Jude had already
I think
saw an
they did
alien
too.
in episode 2. Remember?
But they probably came to talk to Jude.
So Jude has the connection to the aliens too, because she saw
Right.
like the face, like she saw like it was right in
Yeah.
her face.
Yeah.
Like, and she didn't even question that. Like she dropped it after that whole incident. Like, never mentioned that again.
Wasn't that when she first like took a drink of the liquor though or something?
Yeah, she probably thought she was drunk.
So she thought
Mhm.
that's what it was, is she thought she was hallucinating or something though.
Oh, Jude.
Hey, Jude.
Gotta get my Jude out.
What the fuck was? What are your guys' interpretation on the ending of the episode? What was it? 13. Like,
The last one?
yeah, like the last
The
like
finale, come
minute.
on.
Like, was it basically the gist of it was if Lana would have listened to her warning, none of this would have happened? Is that what it was? Like, what was that about?
Wait, what is the last scene again? The very, very final
If
scene?
you look in the face of evil, evil is gonna look right back at you. She leaves, and then it ends
Okay.
pretty much.
Yeah, well, I think it's just, it was a story of full circle. It came full circle for Lana. She realized everything that she'd done and she'd been through. But, she had some insight that, if I had not messed around with that in the very, very beginning,
Yes.
who knows where
Sister
we would
Jude.
be. All this.
Are those like bobbleheads?
No,
Who?
they're a little bigger headed.
I was gonna say I want a bobblehead of her so I can put it on my dashboard.
That would be cool. I'd
The
like
bobblehead. Oh, yeah.
Like Sister Jude driving with Jude. Yes. All right. What is the connection of Asylum in any other season? Like, what's the connection with Murder
Well-
House and Asylum?
The way I look at the seasons is there's like 2 tracks right now. It's like you have the 1, 3, 5 set, and then you have the 2, 4, 6, the even set that have connections to each other because Asylum has some connections to Freak Show. Freak Show has some connections to Cult. So those are the even shows. Roanoke is the exception because Roanoke has connections to both sides of it. But right now, the odds don't have any connections with the evens. Think about it.
I'm telling you, they're connecting. They're going to connect next season.
Oh yeah, they're all going to connect. He said they're all going to connect.
Next
But
season.
right now, where we stand, there's no connection.
I can't think of any Murder House connection in Asylum.
Yeah, there's not. The odds don't connect with the evens. Murder House doesn't connect with Asylum. Murder House doesn't connect with Cult. Well, yeah, Cult. Murder House doesn't connect with Freak Show.
I mean, there were all definitely a shit ton of hints to it being Asylum and Murder House.
Oh yeah,
and especially there was a lot of hints that it would be in Boston or at least in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes those are really obvious, and other times they're not. Just like the Pixar Easter eggs.
But what are there like? I guess there are some witchy hints in Asylum, right? I mean,
I forget. It's not. Let me look it up on Wikipedia. They say exactly what they
well,
are.
when they call how do you say it? What is it? Shakik.
It was like Shahath or something like that.
It's Shakik. I know it's got a ick at the end.
If her name was like Shahath or something, Shakath.
Something like that. But yeah, that was spiritual, but that was like summoning and calling upon something.
Okay, do you guys think Mary Eunice was like 100% possessed?
Yes.
I think so.
I don't. Because when the previous the teen, the boy who was the farm boy who was possessed before her, he had the full on look, the Exorcist 2.0, the eyes, everything. He was speaking and just gyrating and murderous and maniac and whatever. Mary Eunice was sly, like sneaky, bitchy, like.
But the devil could use a person any way they want. You know, maybe he felt
like,
that.
You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like Mary Eunice was not like.
Maybe back to that purity we were talking about. Maybe made her stronger because of it, so she wasn't as weak of a soul.
I look at possession as like a vessel. It's like he's got this body. Satan's got this body. Can use however he wants. The one kid was probably fighting it, and he was tearing that other kid's body up. But Mary Eunice, he's like, oh, she's on the ends to all this. I could use her to manipulate other people.
Right.
That's how I mean possession.
And when she was like a shell. And this is another thing. When she was talking to that little girl, which we'll touch base on her.
No,
I got a bone to pick.
Little Jenny.
She said that she was the devil, and she acted like she changed by herself, not because she was possessed. Like she had that whole story of, we had a flashback of her at the pool and whatever. So like she acted like that had nothing to do with her being possessed. And then when she said, you know, she was talking to whatever the fucking angel of death, dark cousin, whatever the fuck. She says, you know, oh heavenly host, will you? Like she obviously like she's possessed, but like she was half possessed because then we hear the devil step in and oh shut up, and like it's like it was like a battle between the both of them. Like it wasn't like she was fully, yes, Pepper, it wasn't like she was fully possessed, you know what I mean? Like she still had control.
Yeah, well, that's what some of these, when they're fighting and stuff, they have somewhat control. They're trying to get out of it. I don't know. I just think that he was able to use Mary Eunice to get manipulate people.
Yes.
Trying to find it.
For a second, I thought that was Elsa Mars. I'm like, what the fuck does she? But that's
there was rumors floating around a while back that I like right around the Freak Show Hotel time that Elsa and Jude were sisters. And I forget the whole connections based on that, but they were saying that there's little Easter eggs that you could follow that could lead to Elsa and Jude being sisters. But of course, you can do that with any.
I think they're the same person. I think they're the same person.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Actually, I would like that twist.
Yeah, I think Constance, Jude, and Elsa, and possibly Fiona, but it wouldn't work with the Apocalypse twist. Are the same person.
Got rid of everything.
I know, Apocalypse killed everything.
What is up with that little girl, Jenny?
Oh my God,
Are we gonna see her again?
I
I
told you.
hope we do. I hope we do.
All the patients' little side stories in Asylum were out of left field.
I don't know though, because there was something about that character that was very different. And they even came back to talk about how she killed her whole family at the end.
Yeah.
And then they don't
She was
say what
evil.
happens.
She was pure evil.
Yeah. She was just reading off that script.
I would have loved it if she ended up being Mead.
See, and there's theories about that, and I read that, and I'm like, oh my god, how cool would that be?
Being who?
If being Mead, Miss Mead.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Like that would have been so cool. That would have blasted me off the fucking couch. Like I would have not have saw that coming.
Well, we still don't know the real Miss Mead's backstory, like her as a younger
Miss Mead
person.
was fucking stupid. Stupid. Why the fuck did they have to make her a robot? It was just dumb. But we're not on Apocalypse.
We're not on Apocalypse.
The more I think
Alright.
about Apocalypse, the more I don't like it.
We were just talking about that.
I'm gonna read you a theory.
Oh Lord, is that the
And
one
the
you read
theory
last night?
is
Oh my God.
Bloody Face is actually Lana.
No.
No.
All right.
You guys are going down conspiracy theories.
The entire time you're watching the season, nothing really points to this until the very end. We see a flashback to the beginning of the season when she first arrives, but we see a more determined Lana, one who isn't desperate for a story, but positive on she's going to get one, which, yeah, I guess, why? Anyways, the ending seemed to be a battle to battle everyone. Why was it necessary? Well, she's bloody faced, okay? The season utilized something called unreliable narration to go back to your high school English days when you were reading Gatsby. This okay, where can we get to the theory part? The gist is that you shouldn't trust the narrator just because they're telling the story.
True.
In this case, the narrator is Lana. She is telling her story from her perspective, and her perspective is a lie. How do you know it's a lie? She told us herself. Remember, the only in that any and every scene is important. Flashback to her book signing. She is overridden with guilt while reading her excerpt. Her conscience speaks to her saying that didn't happen, and she basically was fabricating. Oh yeah, because she did say that there was another girl with her in the chambers, and that wasn't the case. And she also said that Wendy's character was pretty much Wendell, a man.
She changed it.
What's to say that the part where she, the other parts of her book were false?
Well, when did she say she changed Wendy?
She did. Yeah, she did that in the book when she was doing the reading at the end.
Oh, I think that was a lie.
Wendy's ghost like haunts her or something. The voice of Wendy says something to her about changing her name and making her.
Wendy wants her to change her. So she's acknowledging that Wendy was a female and she existed in her life.
No, she doesn't.
See, that's I don't know how anybody could believe that, because the whole purpose of her being locked in Briarcliff was the fact that Jude was blackmailing Wendy, and because she was a teacher and the homosexuality stuff. If it was a man, would have been like, "Get the fuck out of my house! I'm going to go get my wife."
Right, and I still don't understand. Like, I know you can do the a concerned citizen type of thing and get assigned by a judge, but it doesn't fully work that way.
It does not work. It's 72 hours. Yeah, it's a 72-hour hold. If you feel that the person is not safe for themselves or somebody else in society, then a judge steps in and decides. But back in the 60s, remember, the man ran the house. And if a man goes into a courtroom and says, I can take her home and take care of my wife, a judge would have released her. So I believe Wendy was really...
And hence, that's what happened with Anne Frank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't understand why it happened with Lana the way it did. You know what I mean?
Because I believe that she was the woman, and the woman was being blackmailed. The woman couldn't lose her job as a teacher, to do all that, and there would be forms that Wendy would have signed. I think Lana because remember, Lana changed very dramatically as she got more famous. She,
Right.
you know, she started to get full of herself. So Lana could be, after the book was published, Lana could have been starting to change and announce changes to facts of her own self to make her own celebrity better. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she was bloody face, but she
I don't
definitely.
know. If she was bloody faced, what about Johnny?
It did make sense though, because if she changed Wendy's character to a male again, like how would she explain being admitted to Briarcliff?
That's what I say. Yep, exactly.
How would she have explained that in the book?
I know.
Right there, plot gap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that was her whole reason. Like she was even admitted. Like
yeah, she was lying to make herself
so,
look.
this theory says pretty much Anne Frank possessed Charlotte, whatever her face, the crazy Anne Frank wannabe, was possessed by the real Anne Frank. I don't know. I mean, but how did that bitch know all that shit though? Like, what?
I think she just became obsessed with the topic. I've seen people
I
become
mean, she
obsessed
couldn't
with
have
different
heard like
things
stories from other.
anyways.
She could not have heard stories from people who survived the apocalypse. Yes, the apocalypse, the Holocaust, just from some newspaper clippings. You know what I mean?
And when was that book published? How much was out there about Anne Frank at that time?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, no, I gotta go back though, because her husband did say that they went and saw a play about it, so she could have.
She had all those newspapers and stuff, so she was obviously studying her. I just want to know how much information was out about her, because it takes several decades to learn everything that that went on. But I just think I hated the fact that it was Anne Frank, because I think Ryan put it in there really specifically because he had a Nazi German doctor in there. It was so random.
Yeah,
this woman could have been assessed with any person that went through trauma.
Well, that's exactly why he did it, so that they would have the connection to point out who Arden was. But they needed someone famous at that point, that a name that everyone would recognize, and everyone has read in school at least the book of Anne Frank, the Diary of Anne Frank.
It's just so convenient. All of a sudden,
yeah.
We have his German doctor in here, and oh look, here comes a patient that's obsessed with a German or a Holocaust survivor. Now we can explain Arden. I hate those writing mistakes like that when things just line up so conveniently, and it happens to just be something so random that it could have been a million other things in the world, but it happens to be that just so you could explain this story. It's like it's work yourselves out of holes a different way. I would have preferred her to have been Anne Frank. That would have been a cool twist.
Right? At what point did you remember how we had the scene where Sister Jude was meeting with the I guess the head of the institute whenever the church donated it to the state, and you remember that scene? Like,
kind of,
it seemed like they had their shit together.
Oh, like the new people that came in?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like years, I don't know exactly how many years later it was when Lana came back, but the whole place had went to shit. Like, it had
overpopulated. It's based off of that same asylum. I forget the name of the asylum it's based off of, but that's a true asylum. And with that expose that Geraldo did, it was all merely because of overpopulation. They brought in way too many people, and they overpopulated. They couldn't care for them, and it quickly went downhill from that. So
and that was unfortunately looked at a lot back in the day too with these places. They were overrun, overcrowded, not staffed properly. They weren't kept properly. They weren't taken care of maintenance wise. They weren't cleaned right.
It'd take less than a year to make that place from a nice place to the dive that it was Atlanta went. If the staff just completely gives up caring, it would go very, very quickly. Because remember, with those types of patients, you've got bathroom stuff is not necessarily done in the toilet. Their food, vomiting everywhere, disease. They don't keep after themselves. A lot of them, cleanliness and making beds and clothes and everything. And if the staff doesn't care, that stuff piling up really quick, you're going to have a rundown place real fast.
So I know this could probably be because it was the season after Murder House. and like they probably didn't want to do ghosts again. But like literally, like there was like they mentioned like even when it was still like Briarcliff, like Arden was mentioning to the monster like over 40,000 some odd people died here, like no ghosts at all. Like they could have at least had like something to do with it, but I guess they didn't want to put
Yeah,
ghosts
it
in the
wouldn't
mix
make
because
me
it would have
think
been
of
way
something.
too much. But like, that was
I think the whole thing about in the Ryan Murphy universe, I think he explained it in Apocalypse that we're seeing those ghosts because those places are portholes. He
Yeah.
said the Murder House, the Hotel Cortez, and the land on Roanoke were the gateways. So maybe Briarcliff wasn't a gateway.
And what the fuck? Like, what is up with Lana? Like, I'm not saying I expected her to look like old, but like she did not look how old she was supposed to.
Money. Look at Cher, Madonna, money.
Yeah.
Money.
I can buy you anything.
Oh, Lana.
At that point, they were saying she was bigger than Barbara Walters.
Do what?
At that point, weren't they saying she was bigger than Barbara Walters?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was rich. Look at that little office room that she had that she was sitting in. It's just okay. Now it takes me back to that interview. She had a new girlfriend in that interview.
Yeah.
So
she finally came out. Did she ever admit in her book that she lied?
What? You're cutting in and out.
Hello?
Hello? Say again?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. But now, since she finally admitted by having a new girlfriend, did she ever admit that she lied in the book?
I didn't catch her lying in the book. You guys did.
I'm assuming.
She would. I don't think Lana would admit that she lied about anything. Let her just go on with her life. She don't care.
Okay, this is kind of weird. I don't know if it's a coincidence or whatever, but do you remember when Lana was discussing Kit's third wife, Allison? She said that they met at the co-op. What does that mean?
Co-ops are like you have like really healthy the grocery stores, Trader Joe's, stuff like that. Co-ops are kind of like that. They have like farming stuff in them, and you know.
Why does she have to tell us where they met though? Like the co-op. Is that supposed to be like Apocalypse, like cooperative? Like I don't understand.
No. It's a specific type of store, a co-op.
But I mean, like, why does she feel the need to say where they met? Like, did it matter? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was just a little weird. Like,
it's just how the writers specified something. You know, it's just who knows.
oh, Asylum.
So, Asylum's actually not as bad as some of the other ones as far as plot holes.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
The problem with Asylum is there's way too much stuff going on, all at the same
And they
time.
didn't explain
Some of it
it,
doesn't
too.
pay out. What?
There's a lot of different things all at once.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it doesn't pay out. It doesn't justify the means of what they were trying to establish in the beginning. You know, like the monsters in the forest and the aliens and all this stuff. You didn't need all of these components if you weren't going to pay them off.
Right.
Okay, what was Arden's whole thing with experimenting for, when the atomic blast happens and experimenting, the human race and all that? Like, is that a tie into Apocalypse? Like,
World War II. They dropped the bombs on Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So the world had just experienced nuclear bombs for the first time in its history. So all these scientists and all these doctors and all people trying to understand, what does it have to do with the planet now? What are we in for? What are we trying to learn? I mean, this was fresh for them.
And he was a crazy psycho.
Oh yeah, that too.
Literally. Why did they drop off Shelly at an elementary school of all places?
No, not
Okay,
Sister Mary Eunice.
did they drop her off because they opened the door?
No, they showed Mary Eunice dragging Shelly out, but they never showed where she took her or anything.
Yeah.
But now
That's what I
somebody
told
else I had seen before made the point of like that's a long way to drag her.
Uh-huh.
You know, they had to be heavy, blah blah blah. But no, we saw her with Dr. Arden across the room. So I don't see how that would have been a problem for her worrying about the weight.
Yeah, if Mary Eunice did it.
Well, they showed she cleaned up the lab for Arden and dragged Shelly out.
Yeah, that was just all for shock value.
Yeah.
It's the only reason they did that to Shelly.
I could see Mary Eunice doing that because she knew where it would be found and who would find it.
Yeah, who would find it? Yeah, the kids. Yeah.
So it's shock value for us as the viewer, but it was supposed to be shock value for who was finding it.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those taboo things. It's like, what can you? Who can you shock the most? Who can you absolutely terrify? Children.
Right. And it was probably was it a regular school or was it like a religious school?
I don't remember if they were in uniforms or not.
I don't remember either. That would have been really interesting.
Oh,
what
Mary
episode was that? Do we know what episode that was?
Ooh, 7, maybe 6.
6 or 7.
6 or 7. I don't think it was 8. Hell, it could have been 5. I don't know.
Yeah, the only picture that I'm pulling up is her coming up that staircase.
Yeah.
Let me see. I can pull up on my phone. I have them all on my phone. 6, you think?
Start there.
Season 2.
What's the name of the episode?
I don't know. I just saw it.
Oh.
Episode 5 is Anne Frank Part 2. 6 is like Origins of something, and then 7's Dark Cousin. I forget what 8 was. I think it was like the coat hanger.
Coat hanger.
Or no, it was
9 is
it was right at the end.
8 is the Christmas episode.
Isn't it right at the end, Shelly? Of the episode?
I think yeah, that's when they do it.
Oh, Mary Eunice. Like, why?
No, it's not at the end because that's when they take her to the hospital and Monsignor kills her in that same episode and everything.
Oh, yeah.
If they go back to Asylum, like, how would you guys want them to tie in everything? Like, how would they do that?
The aliens need to be important to something outside of Kit to tie it together. The aliens have a plan for something other, and maybe something that was going on in one of the other seasons was the aliens too. We just didn't get to see the aliens, and then all of a sudden things are like connected. You know, like maybe what Jimmy and Bette and Dot's child is the same thing. Maybe Jimmy.
Right.
That would be cool.
Maybe the whole thing is aliens. That's the final answer. Maybe that's the American horror story because we're terrified of the unknown and we don't know about outer space and the aliens.
Well, there's that crazy little bitch, Jenny.
Okay. I feel like Mallory's got to have something to do with aliens. Or aliens obviously must want something to do with, because that bitch, like, they can't, like, they're obviously watching Earth. So if they saw like all the shit that Mallory could do, like, how would they not want to be at least intrigued or at least like You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if there's gonna be aliens, we're gonna see Mallory or something.
Oh,
Because
here
that
she
bitch
is. Okay,
straight
hold
up
on.
went back in time.
Yeah, see, that's the problem when he decided to link these shows together. Then it creates this. If it just stayed an anthology show, none of these questions would be coming up. You know,
Yeah, but I think he knew all along. It was
he did.
connected.
He did. Ooh, Jenny.
Pepper was like the only. She was the first. Was
Very
Pepper the
first.
first
She was the first crossover.
connection?
Yes, she was the first crossover.
Yeah, Pepper was.
Mhm.
And then we had Arden was in Freak Show, wasn't he? Or was he just
Yes,
mentioned?
he was in Freak
Yeah,
Show. Well, his son played
his
played the
son
character Arden
played
in Freak Show.
him, but yeah, James Cromwell wasn't, but his son was.
Correct.
Which I believe he's James Cromwell Jr., but I could very well be wrong on that.
What the
I'm not
fuck
sure.
is the connection from Colt to any other season? Like
Colt. They mentioned Lana in Colt. She wasn't going to do Lana Winters or Rachel Maddow, the shows. So they're acknowledging the characters from Asylum exist in the characters of Colt.
And Colt did happen before Roanoke, didn't it?
No.
No, because it was the 2000 whatever election during Colt.
Yeah. Colt was like the most recent up to date until Apocalypse happened because that's futuristic. Well, no, then.
Well, I meant like the end of
Apocalypse
Roanoke though, like
out.
the interview with Lee and Lana and all that crap that went down. Like what year was that? I don't remember.
Well, because Asylum was what year was Johnny?
That was 4. No, that was Jim.
No, Johnny, her son.
12 or 13?
No. What year was that when he came to kill her?
Yeah, like 12 or 13, right?
2012, 2013? What?
I'm imagining if it was present day, like the show, it was 2012 when.
The show was 2012. Yeah, that's right. They're all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if that was 2012, so they could have been Roanoke. The Roanoke interviews and the Johnny interviews could have been not that many years apart from each other. So Lana would look similarly.
And what year was Hotel? Because
oh Lord, don't get on Hotel's timeline.
Was that 2015? Because what was the year that Holden went missing? Wasn't that like 10?
No. Yeah. It was a few years before. All of the seasons are numerically right. Season 1 is 2001, 2011, 12, 13, 14, whatever. But yeah, it was 4 or 5 years before all that happened. The Holden went missing.
I always thought that the events of not like Roanoke, but like Return to Roanoke, that was after Colt, right? Because that was the night that Michael did that thing with the Warlocks. It was the same night because it was the blood moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, is it the same blood moon though? How often does the blood moon come?
I mean, it was the same year. It was like 2016, 17.
So yeah,
maybe
Roanoke
even
was in
18 or 19 because Roanoke had a time jump too. So I remember hearing like that was the same night. So it's like it actually goes like Murder House, like it goes Colt, then like Roanoke and like that's so weird.
Well, Colt. Wait,
I'm so confused.
Colt we know for sure that it's Colt timeline because it happened on election night, and then in the time frame around before and after election night. So we know the specific day and time Colt took place, and so you can go off of that, go off of Colt, depending on what happens. So Colt, November what was election night? November 20th.
Uh,
I don't remember.
was it the November 16th? November.
Yeah, it's 2016, November 16th, November 20th, whenever. That's Cult. And then Cult had what? A year after it as well. It has the time jump. Right after that would have been 2017, because I think he ran for Senate within a year of Trump being elected, and so it would have been the midterms would have been in 2018. So he was running for Senate in 2000 into 2017, going into 2018, going into that cycle, because they start very early. They start like 9 months to a year early going into the election year. So 2017, beginning of 2018 would be when Kai was running for Senate. So that's where Cole.
What was the time jump from Return to Roanoke to the finale of Roanoke?
6 months, I thought. Didn't they say on there it was 6 months?
Well, because remember it was Lee's trial and all that shit. It went down.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, you mean at the end, not between.
Like,
I think the two shows were 6 months apart, but the end with the Paley Fest, and then the investigation at the house, and then the interviews. Yeah, the trial had to have gone on what, at least a year, or in between, with all the delays and scheduling and all that. So it had to be. I would say a year would be really, really small, maybe more.
I have to go back to Roanoke and Colt. Roanoke, I'm looking more forward to watching.
We gotta do just a video on all the timelines. Like, damn.
Yeah. I'm sure there's documentation and timelines out there. We could do one on.
There's a couple good ones. I'll send you the link to them. Because I had to look up some stuff too to explain it, and it.
What do you guys think about this question? Why do we not see the Angel of Death in any other season?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, because I was hoping that we would.
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful character.
I could see why we didn't see her in Coven, because
of the witches.
Half of the witches that died went to their own situation, like hell or whatever. So I guess she had no control over that. Mm-hmm. But like with Freak Show, like we got something similar to her, Edward Mordrake, but that wasn't her.
Maybe maybe each season.
Maybe that's why though, because
Angel of Death.
Okay, maybe that's why we didn't see her in Freak Show, because when a freak dies, they go to their everlasting performance or whatever.
Right.
So I guess she had no control over that. But why didn't we see that bitch in? Well, I guess we didn't see her in hotel either, because when they die, they're stuck at the hotel. Same with Roanoke.
Murder house. They're stuck at the murder house.
It could just be situational to what.
The only season we should have seen her in was Cult.
Cult. Oh yeah.
Because when they died, they're not stuck.
Yeah, Murder House, Roanoke, and
well, we shouldn't have seen her in Murder House, really, if you think about it, because I mean, he can't collect their soul; they're stuck at the murder house.
It would have been interesting to see her when Addie died, because it wasn't in the murder house, and she was like a pure soul.
That would have been really.
That would have been.
That would have been like a beautiful moment.
Or we could have saw her when Constance, like when Michael died. If we would have had that, just that one scene in Apocalypse,
that would have made the whole car hitting worth it. Had it been her who took him, I think that would have been worth it.
Okay, wait, no, this her character at the end. What do you guys think on that one?
Oh, the badass.
That messes me up every time.
What was her name?
I forget.
And you know what? Debbie's gonna get mad, because this is like Debbie's favorite character.
Wait, which character?
Princess Conroy's character in
when
Asylum.
She's the badass, when they transfer the asylum, when she's like gonna walk up through gas.
I don't remember. She said something like she was a housing lady and she was killing the people, and
I don't know, she was gonna make dude her big.
I was doing the taxpayers a favor. My reputation precedes me.
Mm-hmm. But see, like, what confuses me about her is, at first they present it like this is just all in Jude's head. It's a complete coincidence. She just happens to resemble the Angel of Death. But then she makes some comments as if she was the embodiment of Angel of Death. So I
And
don't know
blows
which
the
direction
piss at her.
Brian was going with.
I wanted it to be like, since we never saw her again, I wanted it to be some kind of embodiment that was just in Jude's head the whole time. There really was no Angel of Death.
That's what I thought.
You know what
But
I
then
mean?
Lana saw her,
Right.
you know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. See, I don't know which direction he was going with because there's so many little doorways open for little avenues to make you think one way and then make you think this way and then make you think this way. So I just curious what you guys thought.
We should have saw the Angel of Death in Cult and I guess Apocalypse too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see all the other seasons because, you know, she can't collect freaks, like she can't deal with witches, whatever. But like, I guess the reason they didn't have her in Cult was because they wanted to keep it away from Supernatural that season. But
Well,
it would have been cool to have a connection.
Yeah. See, I think with these connections, I think they're just sprinkling them in here. Everyone wants to keep people on their toes, to keep people interested. I don't think that the writers are sitting in the writer room really with an encyclopedia going through their own crap. And I think with like things with the Angel of Death or Edward Mordrake, I think each season has its own flavor for what death is going to represent, what, you know, hell and heaven and all that's going to represent. So I don't think there would have been a thought in the writer's room to bring the Angel of Death in any of the other seasons because she was very much a 1960s kind of glamour type of feel to her for that season.
But she was obviously like an ancient situation because, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't think they're not thinking as much as we are on all this stuff. I think they write the season as its own, and then they think, well, here's a good spot where we can connect Cult. You know, they just do it a very small sprinkling of stuff. Like look at Cult. The only connection Cult had at all was that one comment about Lana Winters. They threw that in as an Easter egg. So,
I mean, I guess that could have been a Roanoke connection too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, stop. Nope.
I'm still trying to think like why they added the whole Anne Frank thing. Like,
oh, you won't get me started.
Like why? Like that was just so unnecessary. Like,
say hi. Oh. Oh Lord, they're gonna fight. We're gonna have a dog wrestling match.
Oh Lord, YouTube's
No, they're fighting behind me.
dog fight. We're gonna get.
uh-oh.
No.
I mean, I don't know what more else to say about Asylum. I really love this season.
Yeah,
What are we giving this season out of 10?
8. It's my second favorite season.
It's my favorite season.
I say 8. Yeah.
It was my favorite for a long time, and Freak Show took over as my favorite when I did a rewatch of Freak Show. I just really connected with Freak Show.
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's really hard for me too because Freak Show is my second favorite, but it's really hard for me between the two. I agree with you there because I really enjoy Freak Show. Everybody gives Freak Show crap, but
I think
it's because
I can't decide
based off of it's it's really good actually.
I can't decide between my favorite being Asylum, Coven, or Hotel. I cannot decide between those three. One of them is my favorite.
I think. Well, it would depend on the mood. Yeah, I think Freak Show though is the writer's best writing. It's so intimate. Each one of those characters are developed so well in that show, and I can understand why Freak Show didn't get a lot of hype and attention because Freak Show was really slow and it was really intimate. It was really quaint. It was kind of weird. It wasn't really horrorish.
Because they spent building the characters.
Yeah, exactly. The writers really milked these characters. I loved it.
If you don't like character development, people were just waiting for the gore factor.
Exactly. That's not what it was about.
They didn't get it till the very end, and then they were like, "Holy shit!" But they were mad they weren't getting it all the way through.
Freak Show's horror was in the mind manipulation of the freak show. It's
Right.
with Elsa Mars, manipulating all those people to make them think that they're family, that they're this and that. Just like in what's the movie it's based off of? Freaks.
Freak.
Same thing. It's all about the mind manipulation and everything.
Right. It's showing you that, it happens to all of us. And that's the scary part, that if it can happen to people like that, who people look down on and you would expect it to happen to, well, and then you see shit that's happened to me in that way, some form or another. It's scary to people.
Yeah, I think Freak Show has some of the most disturbing stuff in it of the entire series.
I think so too. I definitely agree with you on that.
Can't wait till we get to Freak Show.
Dandy's definitely one of my favorite villains for sure.
I still think the most goriest season is like Roanoke.
Roanoke, hands down.
Roanoke, yeah.
Roanoke is the scariest season, and Roanoke is the goriest season.
That at least I can give them credit. I can give them credit.
Roanoke.
Each episode was like jam packed.
Roanoke hit at the right place at the right time, and Ryan Murphy was so smart to do a parody on freaking Americans in reality TV. I mean, by using the stupidity of reality TV in the midst of this horror stuff, I thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love Roanoke.
Reality TV in itself is an American horror story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was cool at first. Look at where it is now.
Literally.
Yep.
I'm gonna have fun with Coven. I don't think I don't think Coven has as many unanswered questions.
Yeah, Coven's gonna be interesting for me. I just rewatched it recently. I'm gonna skim through it, but some of my favorite characters of the whole series are in Coven. But then Coven's my least favorite season. Coven doesn't hold my attention through all of it. It goes off on little side tangents. But I like Kathy Bates' character and Angela Bassett's character. Some of my favorite characters. All right, we done.
I guess that's it. Yay!
All right.
Asylum, and then next week Melinda's gonna have her little Coven. Their figurines, their bobbleheads. I wish they were bobbleheads. I want to put one on my freaking
Don't they sell
dashboard?
Those things with the big heads aren't bobbleheads. Those little.
I fucking wish. I want one on my dashboard.
They're not bobbleheads.
Oh, yeah, there they are. Yeah, and they're not. No. I want the pops, but I forgot to get them, and now they're too expensive. I want to bet and dot pop.
And even people are buying them up, like collectors are buying them up, and then they're selling them for an arm and a leg to people who want to buy them. It's ridiculous.
I know. All I want is a bet and dot pop. That's it.
All I want is a twisty, but I want the exclusive one.
Yeah. All right, we're going. Hey.
All right.
All right, kids.
Good night, guys.
All right. Bye.
Hey. Okay.